world of sim racing, enthusiasts often focus on wheel types, rim specifications, and Newton meter requirements. However, what's discussed less often, yet equally vital, is our relationship with the unsung heroes of racing, our pedals. In motorsports, it's not just about raw power, it's about finesse. The art of controlled acceleration holds the key to unleashing your car's full potential without sacrificing control. Then there's braking, the critical point where races are decided and the gap between you and the competition is bridged. Recognizing the pivotal role of pedals in sim racing, we are thrilled to present an in-depth review of the groundbreaking SImagic P1000i Pedals. So yeah, your pedals are a very important component when it comes to building the perfect sim rig. I'm Sean of the Simpit, and today we are here to check out this SImagic P1000i, I being for inverted pedal set. These are a 3-pedal set that use a load cell, and we'll get to some of the specs later. They also make the standard version, so there's a lot of overlap between the two models, and I'll cover as much as I can on that, even though we don't have the standard model here for review. These pedals on their own are $649. The standard version are $519, so you can do the math. That's about a $130 difference, or you're paying about $130 for the inversion kit. We'll go ahead and cover some of the main details or specs about these. These are very high resolution. They are very highly adjustable. They use a 100 kilogram load cell, which I love in a pedal set at this price point. And for that money, not only do you get the inversion kit, but you get a fully CNC machined aluminum pedal set. Really nice detail on both the base and the pedal arms and even the pedal faces. You've got the cool inversion kit. You've got Hall effect sensors on all 3 pedals, so they're going to last a very, very long time and be very high precision, very accurate as well. And then on the brake pedal, you've got a 100 kilogram beam or bar type load cell, which is a big positive when it comes to comparing it to other mid-range pedal sets. You have all sorts of adjustments that we're going to cover. You can adjust the faces, the angles, a lot of the pressures on all 3 pedals. We'll cover that a little bit later. The inversion kit, it's good, it's stiff, it's easy to build, but it does give it a pretty big footprint. This is a large pedal set, and some rigs might have difficulty with clearance, maybe on this top edge in particular. They end up measuring out at about 348 millimeters by 490 by 368.5 millimeters, and they come in at about 7.6 kilograms. One of the best features of the P1000 pedals is their upgradability. There is so much that you can do to get more out of this pedal set. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but let's start off with the ORPs, the optional rubber pads. These are new little rubber or polyurethane dampers that go inside the brake stack, and you can get more tunability out of the brake, and you can even make it a lot stiffer than the stock pedal. So open wheel drivers are going to really appreciate that, and it'll be well worth the $15. Next comes the hydraulic upgrade kit. This is just like what we see on the P2000 pedal set. So in addition to the load cell and the Hall effect sensor, which do the measuring, it is now a parallel system which will add that hydraulic real car feel to the brake pedal, and it's going to give you a lot more sensation out of the pedal, or at least a lot more realism out of the pedal. And then the next thing I'm really excited about, this is the haptic pedal reactors. These are $69 per pedal plus a power supply, but really I just need it on the brake pedal. Put that thing on the brake pedal and you now have physics driven through the SImagic software haptic feedback into the pedal. Now, is that as sophisticated as the SimuCube force feedback system? No, it isn't, but it is a lot less expensive. So I am excited to try that out, but I don't have them here today. We're just doing our stock configuration. We'll do upgrades on another show, but now I'm going to get these onto the rig so we can talk about driving with them. We'll talk about adjustability and other things that might come to mind while we're driving. Now that we're out on track and driving with the P1000 inverted pedals, we can get a good feel for how they operate and really talk about how some of that construction comes into play when they're under your feet. And the first thing that I really did notice about these pedals is those CNC machined aluminum arms are very stiff. So the pedals, there's no play whatsoever. They're solid, so even when you press firmly on the brake pedal, you don't feel any side-to-side movement at all. It is all straight, and there's absolutely no feel of flex whatsoever. They are very strong, very robust. Now, with that said, they move very smoothly. They've got a ball bearing at every pivot point on all three pedals, and that is also immediately noticeable because they move throughout the entire stroke or the entire movement with no binding, no extra friction whatsoever, and they again feel extremely high quality, extremely robust, and they feel like they will last a very long time. When I talk about the precision of the pedal, though, it goes beyond just that zero play into just how quickly they respond or read. So you do have different types of sim pedals, some with a little more inherent dead zone built into them, and some that just move the moment you touch them. So if you touch that throttle, you can see when you're looking at the reading, the bar, that it is immediately reacting to everything that you do. And the same for the brake pedal. But that also means that if you actually rest your foot a little too hard on the brake pedal, you will see a little bit movement. The moment you touch it, it's going to start registering. Now with that, I have had a lot of pedals that you have to use DI view, for example, and you have to dial in some dead zone, or you might even find that some of your pedals flicker. So when you're at full throttle, you'll see a little hint of movement at that top registry point. These are solid. It is a solid bar locked in. There's no flicker. Same thing when I'm off the gas, for example. I don't see any extra registering, no movement, no needed dead zone. Once I had them calibrated, they are perfect. Same thing goes on the brake. Now, one thing I have had people talk about is on the brake pedal, for these pedals in particular, using those rubber and polyurethane dampers, that there's a little bit of a reduction in braking. So you feel like you hit peak braking, but when you look at the measurement bar, you see it actually eases off slightly even though you're holding the same pressure. And I do think this is a result of using rubber and polyurethane dampers compared to, say, springs, where springs are very instant reactionary and they really don't change their progression very much. With the dampers, I feel like the acceleration point, when I'm applying the brake, I get a certain amount of pressure, but the urethane actually relaxes slightly, and that is where you get a slight reduction. Now, for me, it ends up working kind of well. It makes it so that I'm already starting to back off of my initial pressure and allowing for very nice easing into trail braking. But it is going to take maybe a little getting used to, depending on how quick reaction or how the brake pedal that you've used in the past works. Now, if you're on a potentiometer, compared to this, there is no comparing it. A potentiometer just reads movement, and that's all it does. This is a pressure-based system, a load cell with those dampers, and that gives you so much more. I like to call it a balancing act, like you're almost balancing the weight of the car. So we're coming into a heavy braking zone right here, and I'm going to be able to use that pedal and ease in and out of it, and just kind of balancing the weight of the car, keeping the weight on the nose, preventing wheel lockup, and just getting real smooth braking all the way to the point of apex. Right now, these are just straight out of the box. So the dampers, the polyurethane bushings in the brake are stock, the stock setting on the gas pedal, and as well as the stock spring in the clutch. So we can still do some tuning to get more. We haven't talked about the clutch. The clutch has that springy feel. It has that indent point so that you cross over a certain point and it snaps in quicker like you expect from a typical clutch. Now, it's still removed from the game, which is one of the big problems in sim racing, as we do use clutches from time to time, but the game just isn't timed with the clutch, or at least that release point, quite the way you would want, but it gives a good sensation. The other nice thing that I like about these pedals is the pedal faces themselves. They have a slight roundedness to them, so they are comfortable on my feet, in shoes or bare feet or in socks. And I also find that the edges aren't too sharp. So if I am on just like kind of the edge of the pedal, that it doesn't bother me. The spacing is really good, and I just have them pretty much at the center spacing because I might use them as a 2 or 3 pedal set. But the spacing feels really good as well. So in the end, without even making adjustments, I tell you, I could get used to this pedal set very quickly, and I could use them in a race tonight without any changes and get really, really good feeling out of them. The brake is a little on the soft side. It is 100 kilograms, so to me that is like right when you're getting into high performance. 100 kilograms is going to get you some really good results, but some people are going to like a stiffer setup than that, and that's something that we'll try with the tuning kit. I don't have the ORPs, the optional rubber pads, but it does come with a few extras, so we'll change those out as well. So I think I'm going to want a little more spring in the clutch. I'm probably going to want a little more travel in the gas pedal, and I'm going to want to create a stiffer brake pedal while maintaining some progression. I can feel a little bit of progression in this brake pedal for sure. So it's like maybe a 2 or even 3 stage. I definitely have a light stage right there that I can feel. And then if I try to press to 2 stages, let's be real sensitive to the brake pedal. And there's stage 1, there's stage 2 for sure. And let's try one more and see if it feels like there's a 3rd stage inside of this urethane rubber setup. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, it feels like we have about 3 stages of progression in that pedal. So something softening up, something then waiting and then softening later, or compressing later, I should say, and then a 3rd set that is very resistant that you can feel there. We're at heavy braking, and that's the point when I talk about that balancing act with the pedals. That heavy braking moment is when I can really tell exactly what the car is doing, and just with the slightest addition or release of pressure, just prevent that lockup of wheels, or press down a little more to just see if there's a little more braking that I can get out of the car. Really good sensation out of that load cell, and when you multiply that by the smooth operation and the 0 flex in the system, I mean, for inverted pedals to have 0 flex like this is really impressive. The structure's so strong, the base is really strong, the heel plate is strong. And another thing that you'll notice, since we are on the inverted version, is there's no obstruction under. So sometimes I do find that my mid part of my shoe can actually hit the arm of certain pedals if they're real straight type pedals. And sometimes that's annoying because I want it to react to my foot on the pad, not to just the general part of my foot on that arm. With nothing underneath, you have total clearance underneath, nothing to get hung up on. And even though you don't have a heel stop, I don't find that I need it at all. The way the pedals operate, the angle is real natural and real easy to operate. So I think the next thing is to get these on a bench, do some final tuning, and see how much we can get out of the stock set as is, just with the changes that they come in the kit with the springs and different rubbers and dampers, and get these really dialed in, and then we can formulate our final thoughts on how they work on track. I think one of the biggest differences between a standard and a premium set of pedals is the amount of adjustability. If you think about it, every sim rig has a different pedal deck to seat bottom relationship. Everybody is a different shape and size, and you need the pedals to accommodate those differences to tailor them to exactly what you need when sim racing, so you're not only comfortable but getting the most performance out of your pedals. The SImagic P1000, whether it's the inverted or the standard version, have a ton of adjustability, and it is one of the things that makes them a premium set of pedals for sure. So I'm going to go through a few of the adjustments and kind of, we'll speed up the footage so you can see exactly what goes on. But first of all, you can adjust the pedal faces. So All three pedal faces can be moved up and down quite a bit. You have two bolts that just hold each pedal face on, and then ultimately you have a handful of different positions to be able to put that pedal. So you can see that is quite a bit of a difference between the top and bottom mounted positions, quite a bit of range. So depending on the height of your foot, you can really get that pad where you want. The next adjustment is actually being able to adjust the angle of the pedal faces, and it's done by just simply loosening two screws. It allows us to articulate the pedal of the face for getting that pedal face exactly where your foot lines up and the way it moves comfortably. You can see the two different extreme angles there. So when we flip them over, you'll see there are a series of holes that give you a little bit of left and right adjustability for each pedal. You can adjust the throttle pedal's overall strength by removing a clip right here on the side, and then you can just go to one or two different positions here, and this will actually change the strength of the pedal itself. So you can see when it's in this position, it takes that much strength to press on the gas pedal, and then if I put it in the down position, you can see it's a little bit lighter. You also have some stops here along the side that will adjust the stop position of the pedal. So right here, it's a little hard to see, but we have a couple of screws on the side here, and if I loosen each of these, one on each side, there's a little bar that is the pedal stop. And with that, I can actually, so this little bar, when the pedal presses in, it stops on that bar that I can now move forward and backward. So it adjusts the final distance, the overall throw. That's the shortest distance. And by moving this bar, I'll increase it out to the furthest distance or the longest throw. And then you can see it moves that far. So it is a pretty considerable difference between the two positions. So again, all three pedals, you can adjust the pedal face in angle and in height as we've seen. On the throttle pedal, we can specifically adjust a little bit, two different positions for the amount of strength it takes or pressure it takes, and then one for the amount of distance that the pedal will go. When we move to the clutch, we actually have springs, so we can actually change out to a different spring. You can see right now there is a red spring on the clutch. They give you three different springs to choose from. I actually did put the red one in and thought it was a little too stiff for me, so we're going to go ahead and change it back to the yellow is the softest, the blue is in the middle. So we'll go ahead and go back to that middle one. So it's pretty easy. You just want to loosen up this nut back here, and then as soon as you've done that, you can actually compress that in. Ouch, a little harder than I wanted with that stiff spring, and this piece comes off. Hopefully it doesn't go like that. And then you can just pull the spring out. We'll go to the medium tension spring here, and then you just put this cap back on, and now you can see it is a softer spring and the way it moves and its action. You have the same ability to adjust the final throw, so if you want to make it a shorter throw, you can do so. Same adjustment as you have on the throttle, and you have that adjustment on the brake pedal as well. All right, moving into the brake pedal, the final adjustments. Now we had those springs for the clutch. For the brake, we do have elastomers that we can change out, different durometers of rubber or polyurethane bushings. And it's pretty easy to do as well. You just need to loosen up this lock nut and then spin this post all the way in, and then this whole thing slides out. And inside of this are the polyurethane bushings. So we unscrew this top, and you will see a stack inside of here that compress. So when you press the brake pedal, it squeezes down on those, with the softest one squeezing first, the next hardest squeezing second, and the third set squeezing third, lastly, giving you 3 stages of pressure that are pressing in on the load cell. And if you wanted to soften that up or make a change, you could just change out, we'll say take a couple of these black ones out and put a few of the gray ones in instead, and you will see that it just compresses at a different rate. Because what I actually want to do is try to get as stiff a pedal as I can without going to their performance kit. So being that we are running these in the stock configuration, I would like to know just how stiff a feeling. So when we go to our round 2 of testing in the car, this is going to be with, now it's going to be with a medium spring on the clutch, soft but long travel on the throttle. And now we're going to go to the stiffest combination that we can go to in here. Black being the softest. So I'm going to take the black ones out entirely. The blue ones are the next hardest. So we're going to go ahead and go to 3 blue and then 2 gray. So that's the package that we're going to run for our second round of testing on these pedals. All right, so there you have it. We've done all the changes that we're going to make. I'm going to readjust the pedal faces for me perfectly on the rig, but then we're going to be able to do round 2 of testing with the pedal faces, the perfect angle and height, the right amount of tension on the brake, clutch, and gas, and we've really dialed them in. So instead of them just being straight out of the box, these are perfectly dialed in for me. Well, when it came to dialing these pedals in, it was just a great experience. You know, I tried this rig here where the seat bottom is a lot closer to the pedal deck. And I also tried it on my R seat, which is more of a GT position where the seat is a lot higher. And being able to change the angles of the face immediately brought comfort to these pedals. So a combination of that, nothing underneath them. So total clearance and perfect angles made it so I could just get things so comfortable. I tried all the different springs, and in the end I settled on the medium clutch spring. It gave me the right amount of snappiness without being too stiff. And then on the brake pedal, I went to the stiffest setting. Now this is still not as strong as what you could get with a couple of upgrades. You can upgrade to a 200 kilogram load cell, and you can get the ORPs, the optional rubber pads, which would then allow you even stiffer settings with those inserts inside of that collar on the shock. But I went to the stiffest setting that the stock ones come with that 100 kilogram, and it is a good stiff pedal. I think I could still run it in socks fairly comfortably, so it's not too stiff, but it's strong enough that it prevents me from, well, forgive me for saying, from those oh shit braking moments, you know, when you're just a little panic braking and you're inclined to just hit that pedal all the way to the floor and lock up the brakes and lose total control of the car. It is strong enough to prevent that. So it is definitely a performance or a high-end pedal, and it's going to do everything it can to help you get the most out of the car under braking. On the throttle spring, I actually left it in that easier to move setting, and I put it to full throw, which is a good amount of throw. So I have a lot of distance to work that gas pedal. So when I need to modulate that gas coming off of a corner, when you're doing a lot of rear wheel steering, you have a lot of length or a lot of distance or travel with that pedal to work with, and it really allows you to finesse nicely. So another thing that I think makes it a real high performance pedal, and when you compare it to some other lesser pedals or even pedals in the same class, these are very important features, being able to adjust the springs, the dampers, the travel distance, the tension, all of those things. And in this case, the height and the angle of the pedals being as adjustable as anything I've ever tested. And I think in the inverted, it might be even more important depending on, again, the size of your feet, the angle of your rig, and even how extended you like your legs. I noticed that I like my pedals very close compared to some people, and so it is all personal preference, and those tailoring things are what really make it nice. So all in all, very high performance. You know, when I consider the price point of these pedals, and I consider the precision, and I consider the accuracy, I consider their real robust build. I mean, they are strong and they are completely tunable. I consider that they are upgradable. So even though we're just using the stock configuration, just knowing that hey, I got myself into a really nice set of pedals with ball bearings on the pivot point, CNC machined aluminum pieces for the most part, a good rigid inverted mount. I've got all those things, and I did it at a reasonable price. And now over time, if I'm on a budget, I can save up a little bit of money, and I can buy that hydraulic upgrade kit if I want more sensation out of the brake pedal. I could buy the ORPs if I'm looking for more of a Formula 4, Formula 1 style pedal. Right now I have a real good GT configuration in that, and it feels great for that. And then I could even consider going to the haptic reactors and getting some physics-driven feedback through the brake pedal, gas pedal, and even clutch pedal in the SImagic software. So with all of those things being upgradable over time, it then would just take this pedal set to a completely different level. So all in all, I could race on these right now. I could have raced on them out of the box, but now I have them even more comfortable. Now I have them even more dialed in for the way I like to drive a car and the sensations that I want out of the pedal. A really, really cool pedal set, and great to see SImagic really listening to what people want and need out of a pedal set, whether you're talking the inverted or the standard version. Well, there sure was a lot to cover or talk about when it comes to the SImagic P1000 inverted pedals. There are a lot of features built into these, a lot of upgradability, and a lot of great things. But let's go ahead and make it really clear and break it down with the good, the not so good, and the bottom line. Starting off with the good, and that being they are highly adjustable, totally upgradable, high precision, heavy-duty load cell, nice drivability, great heel-toe action, cool inversion mount, very smooth movement. And now let's move on to the not so good, or at least the things that could be improved about the pedals. I think in the inverted form, these are a little bit pricey. The standard version, they seem right in line. Takes up a lot of space, clearance issues. And now on to the bottom line. These are really nice pedals. I think these show that SImagic have come a long way. Their styling, their design has come a long way, and they're probably into that next level or next generation of gear. So I think it shows a lot of promise for the future of SImagic. In addition, they are highly accurate. They're highly adjustable. They're extremely heavy duty. I feel like these will last a long time. In a lot of ways, there are a lot of similarities to Club Sport pedals, and I think if you're on the standard edition, they might even be closer. But I love that these use a beam-style load cell. To me, that just they're like indestructible and should just last forever. You have a ton of adjustability on these as well that I think just really separates these from a lot of other mid-range pedals, and then the upgradability. So I'm kind of disappointed that we didn't get to use the hydraulic upgrade kit or the Hapter reactor pedals or even the ORPs, the optional rubber pads, because I'd like to try a stiffer brake pedal on these. I think they can handle it, and I think I get more performance because I do tend to like a much stiffer brake pedal. But all in all, very solid, good heel plate construction, and just real proud of these pedals. Now, I do feel the inverted version are a little on the pricey side, so that extra money for the inversion kit does take them out of that same price range as the standard version. But I think for those who need or want to use the inverted pedals, that it's going to be worth that money. So certain people who do heel-toe driving don't like contacting the pedal arms with the bottom of their foot. That's not going to happen on inverted pedals. And for those who are trying to create certain cockpits, like cars that you want to drive or your own race car or real car, you might need inverted pedals, and then it's probably worth that upgrade. All in all, I'm very impressed with the SImagic P1000 inverted pedals. They were a pleasure to use. I'm sure I'm going to use them more in the future because they are actually kind of fun. And they're one of the nicer set of inverted pedals out there on the market. So again, I'm very impressed. I hope that tells you everything that you need to know about these pedals. Hopefully we'll have another video soon with those upgrades, and we'll get more out of these pedals then. And be sure to give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can find out when our next video comes out. And thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Colt, and I'll see you on the track.